receive in terms of Israeli commitments. We believe that these talks, in order to succeed, have to have certain requirements that are consistent with international law and with the integrity of peace itself as an objective rather than the process as an end unto itself. So I think with the Arab League acceptance, also with the initial acceptance by President Mahmoud Abbas, and the groundwork that was done with Secretary Kerry, as soon as we get the assurances that are needed, I'm sure there will be preliminary talks in Washington.
Hanan, that sounds suspiciously like laying conditions, and I think everybody pretty much understands that conditions and preconditions are a non-starter. Are you laying conditions? Is that what the Palestinian side is going to do?
No, you see, this term conditions has been used constantly to discredit the Palestinians as though we're doing something wrong. Basically, what we're saying is the peace process has a certain foundation, and it has a basis which was agreed upon years ago. As you know, we started in 1991. We didn't go on a fishing expedition or a shot in the dark. We had clear-cut criteria: 242, 338, land for peace, 67 boundaries. We cannot reinvent the wheel every time a new government comes and wants to negate the agreed-upon basis of negotiations. Also, if you sign agreements, you have to honor them. If you sign agreements to release prisoners, you cannot renege on them. Or if you sign agreements to have further redeployments, you cannot say, I'm sorry, I changed my mind. Why else would we negotiate if there are signed agreements that are not honored? 22 years in which settlements quadrupled is certainly not a clear precedent to act upon. We really need now to move fast with genuine commitment, not with PR statements and declarations of intent, but with serious actions on the ground that are positive and constructive.
Hanan, the EU has talked about stiff measures against Israel for its settlement building activity, cutting off funding for any activities in those settlements, for instance. By the same token, people say the EU could cut off and stop paying for the Palestinian Authority if there don't seem to be progress in these talks and towards serious negotiations. Now, one of these issues, and you talk about public opinion, has always been the idea of the right of return. And my question to you again has to be, will the Palestinians move beyond this notion of all or nothing, that, you know, telling the people of Palestine that, yes, all the 4 million or more exiled refugee Palestinians will be able to come back and reclaim their land inside what's today Israel? I mean, surely everybody knows that is a non-starter, and it's time for you all, the politicians, to be honest with your people about this.
Well, first of all, when we talk about the Europeans, settlement activities are illegal. Annexing and stealing land which is not your own is illegal. The Europeans have been telling the Israelis, stop doing this repeatedly for years. This is illegal, this is counterproductive, this restores the chances of peace, and Israel has refused. So what Europe is doing belatedly, we've been talking about this since the 1970s, is putting its money where its mouth is, telling Israel there is a price to be paid. For the first time, Israel is feeling a slight accountability, and that's why it's smarting, it's reacting hysterically, because it has been used to acting above the law and not receiving any kind of constraints or accountability or curbs on its behavior. So that's one thing. That's quite different from telling the Palestinians, if you do not comply with what we tell you in terms of the peace process, we will cut off funding. That smacks of blackmail. So to tell us, you know, you have to do what we tell you now, or we'll cut off funding, is not at all like telling Israel you are violating the law, you are stealing other people's land, and this occupation has to be costly and accountable. Two, on the issue of the right of return. Now, when you enter negotiations, you do not enter by relinquishing your people's rights and destroying your credibility with your own people. These are rights that are enshrined in international law. We have specific UN resolutions, particularly 194, dealing with the Palestinian refugees' right of return. We have the Arab Initiative that, in a sense, places the whole issue of refugees in a regional context, which is important, because most of the Palestinian refugees are in neighboring Arab countries. It is a source of instability. It's a source of tremendous pain throughout the region, and this needs to be resolved in a just and legal manner. So the Arab Peace Initiative talks about a just and agreed-upon solution to the Palestinian refugee question. We are not going to say we will start negotiations by violating international law, relinquishing the rights of the refugees. We have already given up 78% of historical Palestine, on which Israel is to be or was established. That is a major and painful compromise, but we cannot constantly be pushed to accommodate facts that Israel has created or to relinquish rights and violate the law a priori in order to demonstrate that we are serious. I know we are the victims and I know we are the weaker party, but we are not here addressing power politics. We are addressing a just and legal solution that can lay claim to permanence. This is what we need.
Hanan, of course, a just solution is what the international community requires in this regard. But the truth of the matter is that it's always been a stumbling point because the Palestinians are told that they can expect to come back to their homes. I just want to ask you again, is this again going to be a stumbling point? Because I don't think anybody believes that that's going to happen, and many people believe that that is simply a code for wiping out Israel in terms of it being a Jewish state. Is it not time to be honest with the Palestinian exiles in order to get the state that you so desperately want?
The refugee question is part and parcel of this whole total integrated, interconnected agreement. And it has to take place along a triple-tiered approach. One, recognition of their right and Israel's recognition and admission of its culpability. Two, assuring them that their narrative is right and international law would apply to them. Three, giving them the options. The key term here is the Palestinian refugees' right to choose also. If they do not have the right to choose, if they are told you're all going back or none of you are going back, then this means that you have deprived them of the right to choose. They should have, because UN Resolution 194 talks about